flatlining. No! No, I'm not going to give up on this kid.
Explain how this works, Mike, and why the Fed had to engage in a $75 billion repo operation this morning.
Hold yourself. Coop, no! Leave me alone! Live! Damn it, live!
Becky, thanks very much. The Federal Reserve in another round of liquidity injection.
Because there's two things that the central bank has to do. Move interest rates the right way at the right time and look like it knows what it's doing. And this undermines the latter.
What the hell are you doing?
Where are those little heart paddle things that George Clooney uses?
Not those!
So I want to tell you the Fed has done now its third repo operation.
So everything's fine, but we're going back in again?
Inject liquidity into the system.
Clear! Clear! Crank up the voltage. 10,000 volts. Clear! Clear!
But for the first time in more than a decade, the Federal Reserve injected cash into money markets Tuesday. Do you remember in 2008 when there was a run on the money markets and they shut your ability to liquidate down? And then they went in and they changed all the rules, putting in fees and gates, in other words, tools to stop you from wanting to liquidate.
I guess this time is different. Is a question that comes up on a regular basis. The problem this time around is that gross misallocation of capital is of a much greater scale. I guess one of the key players in this movie, is the partner in crime. Like in any movie, and I think that role that in the Lehman 1.0 crisis was played by the rating agencies, who basically told you, don't worry, this is a AAA paper, buy it, there's no risk. We knew what happened, the models were wrong, etc. That role of the partner in crime today is being played by the central banks. They are the ones who are not just telling you this is fine, they're actually financially bullying us into taking more risk.
Can you just break down what the central bank is looking to do here?
Sure. I mean, they're in a situation where they're approaching desperation. They just doubled down and created the biggest bubble in world history.
So, now what? BTIG Managing Director and Chief Equity and Derivative Strategist Julian Emanuel joins us here. Julian, it's always great to have you.
Great to be here.
So, is this it? Bonds, it's over? The trade's over?
Did we burst? We burst. We burst. If you look back at August, going from 205 in the 10-year yield down to 145, and then you come in the day after Labor Day and get the very appropriate supply response with literally record corporate issuance, government issuing debt to finance the ballooning deficit, and essentially the realization, if you look at these economic surprise indices, they are skyrocketing in the U.S. The data is better than everyone thinks it is. So from that perspective, yes, we think the bubble has burst. And then on this whole issue of the repo and the funding and the liquidity of the last few days, it seemed a little too sort of trite to us to say, yeah, we recognize it's an issue, but we'll be able to take care of it. And oh, by the way, it doesn't really matter to monetary policy and to the economy. And we would say, tell that to friends of mine who know nothing about the financial markets and have gotten, in their inboxes this thing about the repo the last couple days, and they're calling me and asking me, what the heck is this? It matters with regard to confidence, and confidence is the thing that turns markets down when it turns down.
Doesn't make any sense. It was a wonderful question. Everybody's all pulling their hair out about the inverted yield curve.
Could you just
No,
stop there?
not your question. The
No, I
whole
know.
notion
Go
of his answer. Quantitative easing is backwards, okay? They want a steeper curve. We saw today in Europe a variety of economies, even in Japan, where they are really starting to sweat how much their banks have suffered due to negative yields and weird yield curves.
Yes.
And much of that is because of quantitative easing.
How about your 15,000? 15,000 volts! No! Where? Coop, do you know what you're doing? What's it look like? An execution?